In this video, we're going over 16 reasons why you should buy the TCL 10 Pro. Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. If you want to stay up to date on all the mobile technology coming out and learn cool tips, tricks, and hidden features, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below and tap the bell to turn on post notifications so it can be alerted every time we post new videos. Today we're going to go over 16 reasons why you should buy the new TCL 10 Pro, and we're going to go over a few reasons why you may not want to buy it. We've had extensive time to play around with this phone and even made this phone my personal daily driver for a few months now to really see, is this phone the real deal? The spec sheet is insane, and a lot of phones can have a great spec sheet but not perform well, and so I wanted to really give it a full, thorough amount of time to really see, is this phone amazing? And you know what? It is. Let's go ahead and jump right in to our 16 reasons why you should buy the TCL 10 Pro. So the first reason is going to be the design. So you're getting a beautiful curved design on the screen. This is going to be a 16.7 inch FHD Plus AMOLED display. So really beautiful, vibrant screen. Nice and big, feels great in the hand. It's big but not too big. The bezel is super thin, which is great because, again, large screen, but because there's not a lot around the edge, it still feels great in the hand. It doesn't feel like a big phone, even though that screen is quite big at 6.47 inches. Moving on to number 2, the in-display fingerprint scanner is going to be the second reason. So this phone has that cool fingerprint scanner in the screen right here. Just take it, put your fingerprint on there and unlock. And I was super impressed with how accurate the fingerprint scanner was. You know, it's not the fastest, but most of the time when I tap it with my thumb, it gets it. And I remember using the Samsung Galaxy S20 and using the S10 and just really being disappointed that that technology wasn't quite there yet. Excuse me, not S10, I want to say it was the Note 10. I remember being so excited to have that fingerprint scanner in the display, but you'd have to put your thumb down so many times for it to get it. And with this phone, they surprisingly have gotten it pretty well. So very impressed by that. Along with that fingerprint scanner, you are getting a facial recognition sensor. So either your thumbprint or your face, you've got a really quick unlock process to get you right in the phone. So definitely love that. Moving on to number 3, you are getting a quad camera setup with this phone here. Looking on the back, we have 4 total cameras. The main camera, the ultra high res camera, is a 44 megapixel camera. There is the super low light video camera, a 5 megapixel macro camera, and a 16 megapixel super wide angle lens on there. So you've got a total of 4 cameras on there, and the camera is pretty remarkable. Now, one of the things I like to do, and this is something I've been doing lately, I try to go out and get really amazing pictures, and I want to make that my wallpaper. So this picture you're seeing right here is actually a picture I took with the phone with the macro mode. And I would say of all the camera modes, the macro mode was the most impressive to me. This was just a wilting flower that was on my kitchen table, and the detail is just like astonishing. I thought it came out beautiful, and mind you, this phone is under $500. Normally you'd have to pay over $1,000 to get these type of camera specs and to be able to capture a picture like that. So 4 cameras with a lot of variety for a lot of different type of people. So we won't spend too much time on that setting or on that section, but 4 cameras with some amazing lenses on there. Moving on to number 4, you've got a 24 megapixel front selfie camera. Now I will say, I feel like I did get better pictures with the rear camera than the front. So you definitely want to make sure you're in a well-lit environment to really get the best shot with that front camera. Moving on to number 5, this phone does have an IR blaster, which is something that for those of you that have had the latest and greatest smartphones for years, you'll know that about 4 years ago, almost every smartphone would have an IR blaster, which is basically a sensor to control your TV or large appliances. So what's cool is on the front here, you see an IR remote, And basically you can use your phone to control your TV. So I can frequently just grab this, turn on my TV, control the volume, change my inputs. And I love that. This was probably one of the biggest standout features of this phone for me, is just being able to control my TV and not have to fumble around finding my remote. So definitely really cool. And again, it's a very unique feature because almost no manufacturer is putting it on their phones right now, and this thing needs to come back. Anyway, I'll leave that there. Moving on to number 6, you are getting 6 gigs of RAM for a very smooth and just fast experience. The phone definitely zips and it keeps up with that beautiful screen and refresh rate. Moving on to number 7, you are getting a 128 gigabytes of internal storage, and your memory is also expandable up to 256 gigs with a micro SD card. So you've got 100 to start with, and that's after you subtract the operating system. But again, it's always great to be able to expand and add even more to that picture. Moving on to number 8, you are getting an 18-watt Qualcomm Quick Charge 3.0. So very fast charging. You'll be able to charge your phone up to 50% in 35 minutes. So fast charging definitely is one of those features I want every single phone I own to have, and it's great to have it on a device in this price point. Moving on to number 9, you have a really cool niche feature which is called reverse charging, OTG reverse charging, which is you being able to plug up other devices and charge them off of your battery on the phone. That's right. You just simply plug in like normal. So you would need a Type-C connector, and actually in the box it does come with an OTG adapter. With OTG reverse charging, you are able to plug up and power your other devices such as headphones, wearables, or even another phone. You just plug it right into the charging port at the bottom of your phone. And you can also purchase an OTG adapter as well, which this is a Samsung one here, but there's a lot of others out there. Basically, it's Type-C to USB. And basically you could plug up, again, your charging cable for these other devices, and then you'd be able to charge it off of this battery. So kind of cool. On the Samsung like flagship phones, you find reverse power share, which is wireless charging, being able to take another phone and put it on the back and charge wireless, which is cool. This is a bit more practical because your device doesn't need to have any special feature. It's just simply you need to have the power cable to be able to plug up Type-C or that OTG adapter, and you're good to go. So that's a fun niche feature that also you don't find on a lot of phones, so definitely worth mentioning. Moving on to number 10, we're talking about battery. So you are getting a 4,500 milliamp battery, which is pretty huge. The average phone today is gonna have between 3,500 and 4,000 milliamp batteries. So to get 45 is even better. That's definitely gonna get you through a full day. And for those of you that don't use a ton of power, you'll probably get a day and a half of battery on that initial charge. Moving on to number 11, you get a really fun OS experience that it's different from a lot of other phones. So they do have their own operating system that's on top of Android, and it has some fun extras that I really appreciate. So one is gonna be these cool little graphics whenever you open like their stock apps. So for example, if I open settings and go home, it gives a nice little spin there. If I tap the optimize button to clear out RAM and memory, I get that cool little image. You do have a side panel here, which is a shortcut to your 5 or 6 favorite apps. This is something you normally see on the flagship Samsung phones, and I always have Samsung phones, so to have it on a phone that's not Samsung is awesome, and it's just fun to have it as just a built-in feature. Get right there to your favorite apps, open up, and you're good to go. Another cool thing, when you go to your Smart Manager, for example, this is where, again, you go through, you clear RAM, you check your storage. And you also have this cool hidden feature, which is a partition part of your phone. So look, take 2 fingers here and just swipe up. And this takes you to what is called private space. And in private space, you are able to hide pictures, video, audio, and documents. So really fun thing. A lot of phones claim they have like, oh, hide your app or hide this, but those things are usually really easy to find. This No one's gonna find this if they don't know it's there. So I found that so cool to have an actual hidden section of the phone that you either know where it is or you don't. There's no way to search to get to it. So I thought that was cool. Again, all a part of their built-in launcher or operating system that kind of goes on top of Android. Now moving on to number 12, you are getting a dual LED flash on the back, which is cool because your flashlight is going to be a lot stronger than normal flashlights on phones. So tap there, and now you've got 2 lights instead of 1. So that's definitely a convenient thing. It'll come in handy when you need a flashlight. For number 13, you are getting a programmable side key. Now on a lot of phones today, there is usually like an extra button they're adding, and normally it always adds some, and normally it's to access a Google Assistant, or on Samsung phones like a Bixby. Well, I love that TCL said, hey, you know what? Use that button for whatever you want it for. In fact, use it for multiple things. So this is the app that controls the button. It's called Smart Key. And you can basically program 3 different actions to happen, either by holding the button down once. So there's tapping it, there's double tapping it, and then there's long tapping it. So if I tap it once, it takes me to my Seeking Alpha app. If I tap it twice, it takes me to my universal remote, my IR Blaster. And if I hold it, it will take me to Fidelity Investments. So what's cool is you can also program it for basic phone tasks. So you could program it to call someone, you could program it to turn on your flashlight or do other really cool things. So I love that they just make it immediately available to you to make it what you want. A lot of the other phones, you have to be really smart and kind of understand, how do I reprogram this button to not be a voice assistant, but to be something else? And they just leave it right open and ready for you to use that button for whatever you want. So I love that, and definitely an important thing to mention. Number 14 is gonna be 4K video recording in the camera. You can go in there and adjust your settings to get a nice 4K recording, which makes this phone great for folks that may want to use it for video vlogging or just capturing really high-res video and watching it on your HD TV. So gotta love a phone that allows you to record in 4K. Number 15 is going to be, it comes with a case. So this case right here is the case that comes with this phone. And a funny story, when I first received this unit to play around with, I said, hey, let me buy a case because this phone is great. And I always want to have a case so that I don't drop it or mess it up before I get to review it, right? And I go on Amazon and guess what? I can't find any cases because the fact of the matter is TCL is sort of new to making phone, or new to bringing phones to the US. So you don't always find a lot of manufacturers that will make cases for the phones right away. And so I literally couldn't find a case for this phone for a couple of weeks. And I didn't even realize it, but there was a case in the box of the phone. So when you buy this phone, it is gonna come with a case, which is awesome. So you don't have to worry about buying one initially. You can use their cool case, and then if you want another one, now there are cases available, but initially there weren't. So it's great that they included one, the first one, for you to get started. And our number 16 is going to be the price. So I just mentioned a ridiculous spec sheet of flagship features that you're normally paying $1,000+ to get on a phone, and this phone actually comes in under $500. It's actually $449. And what's cool is TCL runs a lot of promotions to get that price down even lower. So a lot of times you'll find it for $400 or sometimes even $350. I will leave a link below in the description where you can get it on Amazon, but wow, you get so much for the money. You may not have heard of this brand, but let me tell you, this phone is the real deal. I got to use it for a couple of months and I was sad to have to let it go because I have to move on to the next phone to review, but super impressed with all that it comes with, the experience, and it lives up to the hype. Now, real quick, I did tell you that I was going to also mention some cons, some reasons why you may not want to buy the phone, because after all, no phone is perfect and we always want to show both sides of the coin when we're doing a review. So our first con is going to be no wireless charging. So You've got a lot of bells and whistles in this phone, but that was one that was left out of the spec sheet, so womp womp, it is what it is. Moving on to number 2, no water resistant, so it doesn't have an IP certification, so you got to be a little careful with this phone around water. Number 3 is going to be, the phone is a bit slippery, and which is sort of the reason why I really wanted to go out and get a case, because it's beautiful, it's got that nice curved design, but it can be a little slippery and make you a little nervous. So definitely make sure you use that case that comes in the box if you get one, because you don't want to have any accidents. And that's it, guys. That is the list of cons. There are not that many. I think this phone does a lot right. And really, your only reservation will probably be, I just have never had a TCL phone. I've never heard of a TCL phone. Well, I'm here to tell you that they definitely put a lot of time and effort into this phone, and it's definitely worth your consideration. For the price, you can't lose. And let me tell you this too, I buy a lot of phones on Amazon because they have a 30-day return policy. So if you're compelled to buy this phone and try it, I would tell you go on there and buy it. And you've got 30 days to give it a full experience and see if you like it. And if you don't, you can always return it. But like, this phone is totally worth it. And what's funny is, as I'm talking through the review, I forgot one thing that could have been on the reason list. So I'm going to include it, but it's not going to change the number of reasons. But this phone also has a headphone jack at the top, which again is something that is found more and more missing on the newer model phone. So you're getting flagship quality features, still a headphone jack, and just a lot of value for under $500. So again, I'm gonna leave a link below in the description of where you can get one of these. I know this video was long. For those of you that stuck to the end, thank you. Thank you to TCL for sending us a unit to test out. We try to keep it very honest in our review, and honestly, we were very impressed with this phone, and hope you guys will give it a shot as well. If you found the video helpful, make sure you like, favorite, and share if it was helpful. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more videos. Take care, and as always, have a good one.